We should be taking care of that right as we speak. Um, let me make sure. Let me take care of this part here because I see why. I'm not sure why they keep doing this here, where it's literally showing the last installment. But however, everything we got set, and I don't know why it continually do that for whatever reason. But we have a lot of people actually over on the other side trying to go over, but we getting everything switched over as we speak to stop a few things here, and I have it stopped on the other one. So I'm gonna shut this one down to where we can actually exit out. And why it keep doing that, I'm not too for sure. So what we want to and I want to know, what do we have sound? If they have sound there, then let me know if you have sound. And feedback noise, you shouldn't have any feedback noise, but and let me take care of that part there. And 1 second, I'm gonna take care of that. And let me take care of this output part. That's part of it. That should have took care of that part. Sound, my sound is working now. Now, yes, sound is it. Everybody's got a good thing on the sound. And so if sound is good, we should be good. Input device, I need to remove that one and make sure we're gonna switch everything over. So everything is good. I just want to make sure if everybody got good sound, just, thumbs up or yes. If you're getting feedback, actually, let me turn this one off so we can get that one. So we can get that one off. So that one is powered off right now. So if everything, if it sounds good, because I'm showing sound is good on this one. I'm showing sound is good on this side. The sound is input. So if everything get much better, everybody got much better. Okay, so seemed like they did the thing, but no worries. Told you it's a quick way of switching it, which everything is good. So what we're going to do, we're going to give people a couple of minutes and then we're going to get cranked up. But what we want to do, we want to speak today about what this teaching is actually all about. This teaching today, we actually going through the last installment of the Most High God. That this is one of the installments, but it still has everything to do with the temple of God. So we got to do the last installment there, meaning that we have to look at everything in its entirety and we need to find out what is actually going on. Meaning this. We're going to look at some things. We can open it up later to where people can come in the back and you can actually ask me questions, because if you do have questions, I will be taking questions. However, the questions, I will be looking at them live. I will not be looking at mainly questions that is on YouTube. But what we want to do is look at the purchase of the Most High God. How did he purchase us and what really happened? Many of us just think that we just open ourselves and just saying, okay, we're going to let him be our Lord and Savior. This is a purchase. That don't even make sense. That's mean you're giving yourself to something that is not there. And that's what most people do. They'll sit there and they'll say, I'm giving my life over to God. I'm giving my life over to Jesus. This is what happens a lot, where you see this basically in the Christian churches. Why? Because this is the way that they run their things. So as they run it, we're going to look at some of it. As we look at some of it, we're going to get an understanding of it. And we're going to see how they run this. So let's look at some of this and we're going to get the understanding from it as we go through. So right there is telling us, right there, and this is what we're going to look at. We're looking at right here where it tells us on what is going on. And it said preparing a temple for God. So if we're going to be preparing a temple for God, we went through the first parts and we went through one of three parts. And this is our last installment, which is the Most High God Purchase, which shows in Deuteronomy 5, 6 through 10, which we're going to look at in Exodus 19, 4 and 5. And we want to understand clearly what the Most High God is talking about and what was the conversation and how did the purchase happen. That's what we have to find out. How did it happen? Because most of us, as I said, we'll sit there and we believe that God just sit there and people just come up and just, I give myself to Jesus and everything is good. And that's not what happened. That's not to where you're surrendering yourselves to God. Because surrendering yourselves to God is like that you was the adversary to God, and then you decided based on you guys was being equal in force to where now you just decide to give up and then just surrender yourself to God. Biggest, silliest thing you ever want to run into. So what we got to do, we got to look at this. We got to look at this in its full entirety, find out exactly what happened. So how do we do it? We're going to go through it. We're going to use precepts to find out. So let's look at this. We're going to look at a couple of things. We got to go through the scriptures and we're going to find out. So we're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 5 and we're going to look at verse 6. Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 6. And let's look at this in its full entirety to find out. Deuteronomy chapter 5, and we're going to pick it up at verse 6. And this is how this whole purchase came about. This is what happened. This is how everything kind of came down the pike and what transpired based on the purchase that he made for Israel, for the Hebrews. And he tells you that he said, I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. So he is the one that did these things. He is the one that made sure the things went in proper order. He was the one who took care of all things, which we're going to start finding out. He said, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Why? Because he took us out of the house of bondage. So if he took us out of the house of bondage, who was it? The Lord thy God. So you don't have no other ones there because he's the one that did this. Meaning what? Thou shalt not make thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water beneath the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself unto them, nor serve them, for I am the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon your children's and fourth, and third and fourth generation of them that hate me. Why is he using hate me? Because if he already told you not to do something, the only way you can find out that you showing hate to God is doing contrary on what he already instructed you what not to do. So if he instructed you not to do something, then you're doing it, technically you telling God he can take a hike. I'm gonna do it my way. God, I don't need what you're doing. I don't need what you said. That's what you're telling God. Now, the key thing here is what most people don't want to see, and most people looked over, and most people don't never want to really take a function on this. But he says more in verse 10. He said, in showing mercy unto thousands. You don't see millions, you don't see billions, you don't see trillions, you see thousands. So what do this mean as a whole? What does this mean? Every generation, as he said, fourth and fifth generations, every generations, he's pulling out thousands, not millions. Thousands, not millions. Thousands, not billions. Thousands, not trillions. So how did that look? Well, you have more than 1.2 billion Christians running around thinking they're part of that thousands. That's problem one. Meaning you're chasing something that's not there. And he goes on more to tell you this: thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. For the Lord would not hold them guiltless that taketh his name in vain. This is mean many people are going to go on and they're going to preach and teach according to what they believe and do. So this is the problem that we have, because he made a purchase, but he told you, one, you write that down. One, he took us out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. He made that clear. That was crystal clear. So that's what he did. So if he rescued us and he was our savior from the life of bondage, he redeemed us from what was done. But we need to find out how these things was going on. But the biggest problem is this: Israel has the biggest problem because we never, our attention span, our memory span, our understanding of everything is so short, it's unreal. Why? Because we don't think nothing about it. We just want to know, what have you done for me lately? And right after you've done this, then we forget about what he's done. What he's done, no, that was then. What are you doing now? It's the same thing today as what we do with the scriptures. They'll sit there and say, no, that's Old Testament. That's done away with. We worry about what the New Testament is. The Old Testament, we don't have nothing to do with that. That's the problem. So when you look at this, we have to go in, we got to look at scripture to find out why, what have we done? Because we done some things. And he said he has taken us out of the house of bondage. However, we say, and what we do, this is what our problem is. It says, then beware lest thou forget the Lord. Have you forgotten? See, this is what most of us did. See, we'll forget him and replace him with another God. Did not he say he was a jealous God? But many of us, we don't worry. We believe he's another God because we'll take on another God because he's more pleasing. You can touch, you can feel, you can smell it if you get it up close to you. It brought thee forth out, see, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt, and he repeating this again, from the house of bondage. But we have replaced them with gods that has done nothing. We created with our hands. So we had to find out what happened. How did he do this? How did this come about? Because he redeemed us, but we need to know how. Excuse me. How did he do this? How did he achieve this? Because it seemed like we forgot that he made a purchase. We forgot. And this is our problem. And let's look at how this actually went down, because the purchase was made, but even the purchase was made, we forgot. So it says, and afterwards Moses and Aaron went down and told Pharaoh, who was over Egypt, thus said the Lord God of Israel. So they went and told Pharaoh, who was over Egypt, who was over the house of bondage, who was over us, who had us in slavery. They went on behalf of God, and being as the mouth of God, let go of these people. Meaning, let my people go that they may hold a feast unto me in the wilderness. So we need to understand how this all went down. We need to find out what was going on and what happened, because things went on and Pharaoh chose not to do this. So the Most High God was being cool. He went to him and asked him kindly, said, hey, let my people go that they can go do a feast unto me. But Pharaoh felt again equal, like us. Like many of us think we're equal to God. So this would happen. So first thing God did to show Pharaoh that it's a difference in between them. Let's look at some of these here. We're going to go first and we're going to look at round 1. We're going to go to Exodus chapter 7, and we're going to go down to verse 14 to find out exactly what happened with this as we go through on the purchase. On he wouldn't release us from the house of bondage. He would not let us out of this bondage jail. So it says, and the Lord said unto Moses, Pharaoh's heart is hardened. He refuses to let my people go. Go thee unto Pharaoh in the morning, lo, he goeth out unto the water, and thou shalt stand by the river brink against he come, and the rod which was turned into a serpent shall thou take into thy hand. And thou shalt say unto him, the Lord God of the Hebrews, the Lord God of the Hebrews has sent me unto thee, saying, let my people go. That's what he's been telling him the entire time, that they may serve me in the wilderness, and hold hereunto thou wouldest not hear. You been hard-headed. Same as Pharaoh. Thus says the Lord, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Behold, I will smite the rod, and that it is my hand upon the waters which are in the river, and they shall be turned to blood. So now he's going to turn the river into blood, and the fish that is in the river shall die, and the river shall stink, and the Egyptian shall loathe to drink the water of the river. In the Lord spake unto Moses, say unto Aaron, take thee rod, stretch out thy hand upon the waters of Egypt, upon the streams, upon the rivers, upon their ponds, upon all their pools of water, that they may become blood, and that there may be blood throughout the land of Egypt, both in vessels of wood and in vessels of stone. And Moses and Aaron did so as the Lord commanded, and lifted up the rod and smote the waters, and there were in the rivers in the sight of Pharaoh and in the sight of the servants, all the waters that were in the rivers were turned to blood, and the fish that was in the rivers died. And the river stinked, and the Egyptians could not drink the water for the rivers, and there was blood throughout the land of Egypt. Meaning this blood was the first strike, taking life in all the waters. This is the first strike. Because the Most High God went to him and told him clearly to let his people go. Pharaoh decided not to. The same as much of us. We decide not to adhere to the Most High God after we made a covenant with God. But he purchased us. So we didn't adhere to this one, as with Pharaoh. We're going to go down to chapter 8 because Pharaoh still wouldn't listen. We're going to look at chapter 8. We're going to look at verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, go unto Pharaoh and say unto him, thus saith the Lord, let my people go that they may serve me. Again, he repeats the same identical thing. He's repeating the same identical thing. And if thou refuse to let them go, behold, I will smite all the borders with frogs. So now he's going to put frogs there. Everything has a meaning, and we need to know what frogs are or what they mean. We need to know the construction and the foundation on how they actually work. In the rivers they bring forth frogs abundantly, which thou shalt go up and come into thy house, into thy bed chambers upon thy bed, and into thy house of thy servants, and upon the people, and into thy ovens, and into thy knitting troughs, and the frogs shall come up upon both on thee and upon the people and upon all thy servants. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying to Aaron, stretch forth thy hand with the rod and over the streams and over the rivers and over the ponds, and cause frogs to come up out of the land of Egypt. And guess what? He did so. Because he says this, and Aaron stretched forth his hand over the waters of Egypt, that the frogs come up and covered the land. And the magicians did so with their enchantments, because now Pharaoh has his magicians, his witches to do things, and brought up frogs in the land of Egypt. But God is setting him up for a failure. Why? Because if you want to do things, he helped get you in a little bit more problem. So the main thing is, now he had made 2 blows at Pharaoh. 2 blows, because he keep telling Pharaoh, let my people go. I'm redeeming these people. You let them go. But let's jump down to verse 16. 16, we're going to see even a little bit more. Because after he wouldn't let them go, first, he did what? He struck them with blood, killed everything in the water. Second, he brought up frogs. But there's more to this. Is more to what he did to purchase. Thus said the Lord unto Moses, say unto Aaron, stretch out thy rod and smite the dust of the land, that they may become lice throughout the land of Egypt. And they did so, and Aaron stretched out his hand with the rod and smote the dust of the earth, and it became lice in man and in beasts, and all the dust of the land became lice throughout the land of Egypt. Clearly, it's what he's doing. Verse 18, and the magicians did so with their enchantment and brought forth lice, but they could not. So there was lice upon man and beast. Then the magician said to Pharaoh, this is the finger of God. Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he hardened unto them as the Lord has said. This is the problem that we're going through, because every time the Lord tells us to do something, he's putting a little bit more pressure on us. He's putting a little bit more pressure on us. And we need to understand what was going on. So we need to make sure that we keep all that clear. So if we keep all this clear, we'll always remember what exactly is going on at all times. This is what we'll know. So as we go through a lot of this, we see a lot of this, we understand a lot of this. Now we can understand where he didn't make these couple of blows to us. He made a couple of blows to us. And he do us the same identical way. The same way that he do to us. Meaning we have to understand exactly what God is talking about all the time. Because if he made a purchase of us and he's doing this, he's showing you these payment receipts to where you can be ingrained in your mind. But he's not even done. He's not even done. So we're trying to find out a little bit more on what he's doing here. Let's look at it a little bit more. Let's drop down to verse 20. And it says, and the Lord said unto Moses, rise up early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh. Lo, he cometh forth to the waters, and say unto him, thus saith the Lord, let my people go. Let my people go, that they may serve me. In what? And if thou will not let my people go, behold, I will send swarms of flies upon thee and upon thy servant and upon thy people, and into thy house and in the houses of the Egyptians shall be full of swarm of flies, and also the ground thereon they are. And I will swear, and I will serve all the day of the land of Goshen, in which my people should dwell, that have no swarm of flies, it shall be there. And the end of thou mayest know that I am the Lord in the midst of the earth. In the midst of the earth. This is God letting you know exactly what's going on. And he tells you more. And the Lord did so. And there came grievous swarms of flies into the house of Pharaoh, and into his servant's house, and into all the land of Egypt. And the land was corrupted by the reason of the swarm of flies. So you see here where we keep going, and he's progressively getting it more and more and more. So he's making another blow on what we're doing. This is another blow on making the purchase clear. He's letting you know, these are my people, and I need you to let them go. But most people will not let sin go. Bondage is going to keep holding you in hostage. So he had to keep up in the ante to make sure that this is let go. Meaning this, he's going to go down into another one, and he's going to get even more serious. So let's look at this. We're going to go down into chapter 9, and he's going to do the identical thing again. He's going to go into this, and he's going to make some things clear. And we see here, and it says, thus said the Lord, said Lord unto Moses, go unto Pharaoh and tell him, thus said the Lord God of the Hebrews. Again, now you see he just repeating himself. Why? Because every time the Pharaoh will not do anything, he sits there, and he's going to sit there, and he's going to let Pharaoh know who he purchased the people. He's going to clearly, this is his purchase, and he is redeeming his people, which was promised from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And he's making sure they clear this. Watch what happens. Let my people go, that they may serve me. Clear. He's been saying this the entire time. No language change. And he says, and if thou refusest to let them go and will hold them still, now he's getting a little bit more aggressive. Now you can see he wasn't even saying that before, but now he's saying, but if you hold them and you will not let them go still, behold, the hand of the Lord is upon thy cattle, which is in the field, upon thy horses, upon thy asses, upon the camels, upon the oxen, upon the sheep. There shall be a very grievous moran. This is the Most High God speaking. This is him speaking, meaning what? And the Lord shall sever between the cattle of Israel and the cattle of Egypt, and there shall nothing die at all, that the children of Israel. And the Lord appointed a set time. He appointed a set time tomorrow. So when he appointed that time, he needs to adhere to it before that time. Once that time ticks and that last second hits, it's a wrap. This is what he's talking about. So he got a set time to where you can adhere to this. the same as all of us as what we need to do to adhere to God. We got a appointed set time for you to do this. And after that set time, you don't make it, he will release judgment. And as he says in here, and the Lord appointed a set time, saying, tomorrow the Lord will do this thing in the land. And the Lord did that thing on the morrow, and all the cattle of Egypt died. All the cattle of Egypt died. Meaning, but the cattle of the children of Israel died not one. Not one died. Not one died. Why? Because he's letting you know the pestilence that went out for these animals, that the Most High God is very serious about what he's talking about. He's very serious about what he's talking about. But the main thing is, once this even happened, he was trying to make sure, even with those 5 plagues, that was Pharaoh going to adhere to what now he's saying. But guess what? Many people don't even adhere to it as with Pharaoh. So God got to go show him another receipt and let him know that he means his business. Let's drop down to verse 13 and let's look at this a little bit deeper. We're going to drop down to verse 13 and see. And it says, and the Lord said unto Moses, rise up early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh and say unto him, thus said the Lord God of the Hebrews. See, now he's getting a little bit more aggressive because now he's constantly starting to say the same thing. And he says, let my people go that they may serve me, for I will at this time send all my plagues upon thy heart. Now, this is something, now you're seeing he's being a little bit more blunt, being a little bit more vocal, and he's being a little bit more harsh as he goes on. He's ramping it up. Now he's saying that I will send all my plagues upon thy heart and upon thy servant and upon thy people, that thou mayest know that I am, that there is none like me in all the earth. None. None like him. But he goes on more. For I know, for now, I will stretch out my hand that I may smite thee and thy people with pestilence. And this is the problem, pestilence, that thou may be cut off from the earth. In the very deed for this cause, I have raised up thee to show thee my power. Now, I don't know how much more blunt you can get about this, because he said, and in the very deed for this cause have I raised up thee. Well, nobody get this here. He's telling Pharaoh exactly what's going on. For to show in thee my power, and that my name may be declared throughout all the earth. Most High. This is the Most High God speaking, and now he's upset. Now we have this power, this God, he's upset because he's telling you right up front that he raised you up to do this. And all you have to do is have a change of heart. But the main thing is, as yet exalted thou thyself against my people, and thou wilt not let them go? You won't let them go? Remember tomorrow about this time. Remember. Keep this in mind. Remember tomorrow about this time, I will cause it to rain a very grievous hail, such as have not been in Egypt since the foundation thereof until now. Send therefore now and gather thy cattle and all that thou hast in the field, for upon every man and beast which shall be found in the field shall not be brought home. This is the Most High God speaking. It mean what? Turn that down. Turn it. And hell should come down, and he should die. 1 second. 1 second. So this is how what's going on here. So as we're going through and we seeing what is going on and we see what's happening, this is part of what he's saying. As he keep moving forward, he keep getting a little bit stronger on what is going on. So let's look at this. Let's look at more of what's going on. Let's go down. We're going to look at a little bit more. We're going to go down and we're going to see a little more. So we're going to sit there, and I think I might have went past one. And I think I did. I did go past one because that was actually the sixth. That was actually, I actually switched them around. And because I wanted to speak on one, but we still need to go back here and look at this, because he said Moses, this is the one where Moses took the main thing of ashes where he brought out boil. And the Lord said unto Moses and unto Aaron, take to you thou handful of ashes, for it was fierce, and let Moses sprinkle toward the heavens in the sight of Pharaoh, and it should come small dust in all the land of Egypt, and there should be boils breaking forth, and with blains upon the man and the beast, and therefore the land of Egypt, and take the ashes of the furnace and stood before Pharaoh, and Moses sprinkled it upon the heaven, and it became boil breaking forth with blains upon man and upon beast. So this is what he did on that part right there. And I still got that still a little bit. Hold on one second. Okay, I had to get her moved so we can take care of that. So this is what was going on there. But the boils, we have to understand, one, what the boils mean and what the boils is about, to understand how boils actually work. Because once you see boils break forth the blames upon the man and upon the beast of the land, we have to know what it means and how it works. If we don't know what it means and how it works, that's where our problem is going to run into. But the main part is what it was building up to, is telling you that he can actually bring up boils upon the skin. The boils upon the skin. And when you open a boil, what comes out? You open up a boil, most times you're going to see a liquid, looks like water. But the water did not stay in the skin. We have to understand what that means, how it works, and why it worked in that fashion. That's what we need to know. So let's move forward, and we're going to get a little bit more on what his purchase was about. We're going to go down to Exodus chapter 10 to get more on the Most High God's purchase, on how he purchased us, because he kept getting more and more and more in on Pharaoh to make Pharaoh let us go. And we're going to see this right here. In 10:1, it says, and the Lord said unto Moses, go unto Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart. Now his heart is hardened in the heart of his servant, that I might show thee these my sign before him, and that thou mayest tell in the ears of thy son and of thy son's son what things I have wrought in Egypt, and for my signs which I have done among them, that ye may know how that I am the Lord. And Moses and Aaron came into Pharaoh and said unto him, thus said the Lord God of the Hebrews, how long will thou refuse to humble thyself before me? So he's saying the same thing. He's saying the identical thing. How long will you humble yourself before me? How long? So it's the same thing as with us. How long will you take to humble yourself before God? God keeps sending a plague behind plague, behind plague, behind plague, behind plague, behind plague upon you to let you know what is inside you belongs to him. When will you humble yourself and give what is God that belongs to God? He made a purchase. You made a purchase and you made an agreement with God. These are the things that we have that's going on with God right now. But watch what goes on here. So we refuse to do this. So we won't humble ourselves. So what happened? He says, else if thou refuse to let my people go, behold, tomorrow I will bring the locusts into thy coast. And thou shalt cover the face of the earth, that one cannot be able to see the earth, and shall not eat the residue of that which is escaped, which remaineth unto you, and from hell shall eat every tree which groweth out of the field, and they shall fill thy houses, in the house of all thy servants, in the house of all Egypt, all the Egyptians, which neither thy fathers nor thy fathers' fathers have seen since the day that they were upon the earth until this day. And he turned himself and went from Pharaoh. So the same thing, as he keep turning this, he just keep twisting it up more and more and more. The Most High is just slowly turning it up. And Pharaoh's heart is just being hardened. But besides Pharaoh, is not the heart not being hardened, it's his mind on what he's doing. It's his mind on what he's doing. Meaning the same thing. Let's look at this a little bit deeper now. We're going to go down, we're going to jump down to 21 to find out, because now he's going to put us in total darkness from this point out. And it tells us this in verse 21. And it says, for the Lord said unto Moses, stretch out thy hand towards heaven, that thou may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt. Now, my thing is, we can get in darkness all day long. But he's saying this darkness, you can feel it. How can you feel darkness? The only way you can feel darkness is if you feel in your skin. Your skin that has no knowledge. That's the darkness that you're in. This darkness is to where you can feel, you can touch it. The darkness that you have. So if you have this darkness and you can feel it, you can touch it. This is darkness that he's talking about. You can touch the darkness. So if you can touch your hand, he's saying you can feel this darkness. And he goes on more, and he says, and Moses stretched forth his hand and towards the heavens, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. They saw not one another, neither rose from his place for 3 days, but all the children of Israel had light in their dwellings. And once he removed this, now Pharaoh, knowing this is going on, but Pharaoh makes one key thing to Moses to show you what the Most High God is talking about when he made the purchase. See, because he made a purchase, but Pharaoh going to sit there and he's going to try to cash in on that purchase, because Pharaoh makes some things to Moses, which he shouldn't have said. But as he told Moses these things, now he's getting ready to find out what the Most High God business is all about, because he kept telling him, he done told him more than 9 times to let his people go. And each time he refused. Moses told him this every time. But let's get down to chapter 11. And now we're going to see the Most High God take care of some business, because we're going to see something that even the Pharaoh and them even felt. And it says, and the Lord said unto Moses, ye should bring one plague more upon Pharaoh. Just one more plague. And upon Egypt. Afterward, he will let you go. Hence, when ye shall let you go, ye shall surely thrust you out hence together. Speak now in the ears of the people, and let every man borrow of his neighbor, and every woman of her neighbor, jewels of silver, jewels of gold. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. Moreover, the man Moses was very great in the land of Egypt in the sight of Pharaoh's servants. Because now the Pharaoh's servants actually fear Moses. So when those people went there, they feared Moses. So when they went there and asked for something, for the fear of Moses, they did this. But he goes on more, in the sight of all the people. And Moses said, thus said the Lord God, about midnight will I go out of the midst of Egypt, and all the firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die. All the firstborn of Egypt shall die. From the firstborn of Pharaoh that sitteth upon his throne, even unto the firstborn of his maidservant that is behind the mill, and all the firstborn of beasts shall die. And there shall be a great cry throughout the land of Egypt, such as there was none like it, nor shall there be like it anymore. And we understand that this is the purchase that God made. And he's looking for his product. So as he's looking for his product and they not pushing out his product, this is what God is going to hold him to. So the Most High God is completing his fight with Pharaoh. And we're going to see where he's going to complete this. And now we're going to see what happens as this goes on, because he's continually fighting with Pharaoh. The fight is with Pharaoh, and you can see this is a spiritual battle. The spiritual battle, you're not going to win. God's going to win this hands down. But watch what happens as this goes through. So we're going to go down to chapter 12, and we're going to look at the same thing. We're going to go to verse 29. And we're going to see this fight finish out and what happened. We're going to see what happened here in the fight. And it said, and it came to pass at midnight, the Lord smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne, unto the firstborn of the captives that was in the dungeons, and all the firstborn of cattle. And Pharaoh rose up in night, and all his servants, and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt. For there was not a house where there was not one dead. Not one. Not one. But he goes on, and he called for Moses and Aaron by night, and said, rise, get up, and come thee forth among my people, both ye and the children of Israel, and go, serve Yahweh, as ye have said. Also take your flocks of your herd, as ye have said, and be gone, and bless me also. Bless me also. Why would Pharaoh want to be blessed by God? He thought he was ranked among God. And the Egyptians was urgent upon the people that they might send them out of the land in haste, for they had said, we be all dead men. This was happening so fast, it was easier for them, just let them all go, send everything out with them, that we can live. Because if they stay here, God done ramped this up so high, and now he's taking our lives based on the purchase. When he says, let his people go, he's saying the same thing. You let his spirits go. because he is not going to allow you to hold them captive. It's not going to happen. So he's going to continually warn you. And he's going to come to a point to where he's not going to warn you anymore. And he's going to make that final purchase. Is it you? Is it you that's going through this same thing to where he bringing on these different problems and going on, but you refusing to adhere or to humble yourself before God? This is one of the things that goes on. Let's drop down to verse 51. And let's see what's going on here. Verse 51, it says, and it came to pass the self same day, and the Lord did bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their armies. So he brought them out. This is going to happen. That purchase was going to happen if Pharaoh wanted it or not. So the Most High made a purchase. In let's look at something. Let's go to Acts. Let's go to Acts and get some understanding. We're going to go to Acts. We're going to look at something in Acts. We're going to go to verse 20, and we're going to look at verse 28. Verse 28, it says, take heed therefore unto yourselves and to all the flock over the which the Holy Ghost have made you overseers, to feed the church of God, which he had purchased with his own life. Which he had purchased with his own life. He had purchased this by showing you on how you to live. And this is what most of us don't do. See, it's the same as when you had Milan when he purchased Ruth. See, Milan purchased Ruth in feeling he was bringing her from the dead. Why? Because she was a Moabitess. But we got to see how that actually works out. So as people sit there and purchase you because you're dead, so they purchase you from the dead to give you life. The same as you have Hosea. And let's look at Ruth to understand how Ruth is working. And once you understand how Ruth is, we can get a better understanding on Ruth itself. So we're going to go to Ruth, we're going to go to chapter 4, and we're going to look at verse 10. And it says, moreover, Ruth, the Moabitess, the wife of Milan, have I purchased to be my wife, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance, the same other dead be cut off from among his brethren, from the gate of his place, and ye are witnesses of this day. So this is the same thing on what Boaz is telling the elders. He did what? He made a purchase of the wife of Milan, Ruth. Same thing. To obtain, to acquire is what the purchase is. It's to obtain, to acquire something and making payment in one field that is equivalent to what is being purchased. Is the trade-off. This is what we're looking for and why you're looking at the purchase. This is why we're seeing what purchase and trade-off in the equivalence of this. Let's look at some evidence of these things to where we can sit there and find out what are these equivalents and what is it saying. We're going to go to 1 Kings chapter 20, and we're going to see this in 42. So 1 Kings chapter 20 and verse 42, and let's look at some equivalents of this. 42, and it says, and he said unto him, thus saith the Lord, because thou hast let go out of the hand a man whom I have appointed to utter destruction. Therefore, thy life shall go for his life, and thy people for his people. So he's trading off this life for that life. Equivalence. Equivalence to the same thing. Equivalence to showing you that these both is the equivalent to the same weight. That's what he's doing. And when we send that same way, so you make a purchase, the purchase is always the equal value of what you're trading off on what you're seeking to purchase. So the purchaser saying it is worth this, and you making the price on what he's asking for. Let's look at another one. Let's look at another one to understand what purchase actually mean in the Bible. So we're going to go to Job chapter 2, verse 4. It says, and Satan answered unto the Lord and said, skin for skin. This is in equal value. In skin for skin. Yea, all that a man have will he give for his life. Why? Skin for skin. It's trade of equal value. If a man think he's going to die, he's going to give you his skin. If a man think he's going to die, whatever he feels that is of equal value, he's going to give to you to save his own life. That's what he's saying. But how do we know this and we haven't checked the law? Let's look at the law. Chapter 17 in Leviticus, we're going to go down to verse 11. And we're going to see this. It says, for the life of the flesh is in the blood. Exactly the point. And I have given it unto you upon the altar to make an atonement, for your souls. What is it saying? But we're going to find out what this is actually talking about. For it is the blood that maketh an atonement for your soul. So what did this just say? So the blood is the act of what the sin is in your life. And your life must be put up on the altar to save your eternal soul. Life for life. Life for life. So the life that you're given in your sinful lifestyle is putting up on the altar, but you're trading that life for the life to come. See, this is why some people, and they go through scripture a lot of times, and they say, oh no, we're going to read this, and it's just simple where you just read it and it's reading is literal. And the Bible is not literal. The Bible is spiritual. And them that read it spiritual must read the spiritual in its entirety. When you read it in the carnal, you just reading the carnal acts on what's going on, and you're going to believe the carnal things that goes on in there, which is ends you in death. So these are the things that we have in the trade-offs. And as he goes on more, we'll go and we'll look at another Deuteronomy chapter 19, verse 21, as we know, and as the Bible tells us in 19:21, as he says, it's very blunt and very understandable on what he's saying all the time. So he says this in being very blunt. It says, and in thy eyes shall not pity. In thy eyes shall not pity. But the life shall go for life. Equal value. If you've given up this life to seek eternal life, that's the trade-off. But many of us will not do that. He's letting you know that the body before, as he made the purchase, is corruptible. That's why he was able to do those things to that body. Boils, brain fogs, and all this just crazy stuff that's coming up on you. Blood. Why? A life for a life. An eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. These are the things that is the trade-off for when we're looking for things of that nature. This is what's going on. So he purchased us from the works of what? See, he purchased us from something, and we have to adhere to what he purchased us from. But many of us sells ourselves back into what we actually was purchased from. We want to go right back to what we was actually into. And we're going to see what he purchased us from. And most of us don't look at it, but he purchased us. We was just a mess. We were just whores and everything else that was unreal. And you're going to see clearly what he purchased us from. And we're going to go down to 5 and same thing. This one of the most famous. Now the works of the flesh is bondage and sin. The works of the flesh is manifest. The works of the flesh is made known. See, they're going to tell you manifest like it turned into something and it didn't. It's just saying being made known. And which are these? So he purchased us from adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness. So these are things we were purchased from. We were purchased from this lifestyle to come into his house. We are purchased from that lifestyle to exist in his house. But the only way we can do that is that we don't go back, save up some money to go back and purchase those things. Many of us going to go back because they like adultery. So they're going to go back and purchase some more adultery. Some going to go back and purchase some more fornication. Why? Because this is what they're into. They need that fix, so they're going to go out to purchase fornication. This is what we do. These are the things that we get into that we don't know why. We're going to continue to go purchase uncleanness, idolatry. Why? Because I just have to have this on my table. I don't know why, I just like it there. We got to go get this mojo, go get this witchcraft, hatred, variance, ill emotions, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies. We got to go purchase these things like you're in a grocery store. And you go right back to it. Envying, murder, drunkenness, rivalry, and such like. You run out, I'm almost out of adultery. I only got 2 adulteries left in the bag. I got to go purchase a couple of more. This is what we do. He purchased us from this. And once he purchased us from this, your body then can be prepared for him. And we decide to defile it back with some of these. Why? We're falling back and returning to what we which came. This is what we do. And we do this not even want to think about the repercussions that can happen to us later. See, we look at this and we're going to look at something. I want them side by side. We're going to go to Romans chapter 15. Romans chapter 15. Romans chapter 2, verse 15. I'm sorry. Chapter 2, verse 15. It says, which show the works of the law written in their hearts. In your heart is works of the flesh. Adultery, fornication. These are things that is written on your hearts. In their conscience also bearing witness in their thoughts, in the meanwhile accusing or else accusing one another. This is, I'm telling you, we are good at doing this. This is one of our specialties. We specialize in doing this. Why? Why do we do? See, this is the weirdest thing, that you get a get out of jail free card. He purchased you from this. And we say, no, God, I'm going back to it. No, God, no. I got to go back and get back in to this game. The game of adultery. This game, adultery. I got to get back into the game of fornication. I got to get in the game. Did you see that new one just came up in here? I have to get in the game. I want her or I want him. Uncleanness. No matter what. Just one more. This is the things we do. We do it like clockwork. He made the purchase, and once the purchase was made, we need to honor that of God. He goes on and where he tells us these things, and we have to honor the things of God. Let's look at Romans 9 and 32. Let's look at something. 9 and 32. We're going to check something there. 9:32. We want to see something that really touches us, that's close. And it says, wherefore, with a question mark, wherefore, really? Because they sought it not by faith. This is the biggest problem that we have. We sought it not by faith. You have people out there that seek God according to what they see in the flesh and not by faith. They see people in scripture performing duties and things that not pleasing God and don't agree with God and is against God, and they will do it because they'll say God didn't do anything to them, and they don't even know. Fornication, adultery, hatred, ill emotions, drunkenness, murderings. We do these things because we sit there and we looking at things according to what flesh did. And we saw not by faith. And because it was by the works of the law, how you going to do works of the law? Because if you're doing works of the law, you working contrary to God. I know this is boggling a lot of people right now. It's works of the law, you doing contrary to God. They say, I don't get it. The law was not created for the righteous. It was created for the unrighteous. So if you're doing the works of the law, for they stumble at the stumbling stone. They see the law and it says, don't commit adultery. Do they not commit adultery? They commit adultery. Why? Because you're not only doing it spiritually, you're doing it physical. You sit there and say, I'm only going to worship this one God that I know, and it's Satan, but I'm going to have all the women I want. You commit adultery. Physical or spiritual. He's showing you in the physical to where you can understand you're doing the same thing to him spiritually. But now we're saying, okay, we're going to hold on to this spiritual God, and I'm going to hold on to this one God, but I'm going to do these other things over here physically because I never seen him punish anybody who did this. What sense do it make? I can do all these other things over here because spiritually, I never seen God even punish anybody spiritually for doing what I'm doing. He said, by no means going to clear the guilty. These are the things we have to understand. When he made a purchase, and now we're doing the works of the law and not by faith. We do works of the law, works of what is on our heart. This is what we do. So how do we get this? So he brought the law and he purchased us from the law is what he actually did. And we can see this when you go back, how he purchased us from the law. And what happened? Galatians chapter 2 and verse 16. And he didn't want you in the law. It says, knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the law, telling you this in Romans. This is why I say Paul is so dangerous. But Paul making all the sense in the world. So knowing that man is not justified by the works of the law. You're not justified because that's why. Because they saw it not by faith. So you're not going to be justified by doing that. But by faith in Yahweh Shai the Messiah, even we have believed in Yahweh Shai the Messiah that we might be justified by faith of Christ and not by the works of the law. For by the law of the law shall no flesh be justified. None. So anything you do and you feel you're doing physically according by the law, you doing everything that is against the law of God. Meaning what? You have people who is out there talking about they going into the wilderness and they doing all these things, and they go out there every year and they do all these things. They got people who living in the wilderness that left all city behind. When they stand in teepees. They going in other countries, stand in teepees. They doing all these places and they doing these things and they calling themselves, they doing these according to God. They even going into Jerusalem, which they call Israel. They going over there now and they living over there. And God said, I'm gonna bring you back into your own land. He's telling you right here, you will not be justified. You're doing works of the flesh. This is what all of us do. We do works of the flesh, thinking we're doing works of God, and we're not. We're doing the works of the flesh, and the flesh will not be justified. He's telling you, shall no flesh be just. So anything that you physically doing will be justified by God. Nothing. Nothing that we have done will be justified by God. Not according to the flesh. It's not going to happen. He's telling you this, but people, I love Paul. I just love Paul, and they don't even know what Paul's saying. We are not going to be justified according to the law. He goes on more. Let's look at Galatians. Let's go to 3:10 to get even more. Let's just go there and pull more of it. 3:10. It says, for as many as are the works of the law are under the curse. So you doing the works of the law are under the curse. For it is written, curse is everyone that continueth not in all things which are written in the book of the law to do them. I'm almost at a loss for words because you have these Hebrew guys want to talk about how well they're versed in the Bible and don't understand what Paul talking about. Cursed is everyone that continueth not in all things which are written in the book of the law to do them. Paul. For as many as are the works of the law are under the curse. I don't know. I'm trying to let this just sink in to find out. People sit there, well, God said don't do it. By what reason are you doing them? Because it's a law. If it's a law, you're under a curse. See, I know the answer to this, but do you know the answer to it? See, I'm gonna open it up later to where you can even tell me what you think. Or some people what they actually know. Because if you say you're not going to I'm not going to eat no more pork, because right here in chapter 11, it says in Leviticus, don't eat no pork. And you don't eat pork. If you're doing it according to what the law says, you are under the curse. See, these are the things that people love to go and run to these so-called teachers, and they're not seeing what this Bible is saying. They love to use these fascinating words, Torah, in its Yiddish. Has nothing to do with the laws of God. These are the things we have to understand, because under the law, we have to understand how we had this thing, but Christ has the keys. It says this in Romans. This, I want you to remember. I mean, in Revelation, I'm sorry, in Revelation, chapter 1 and verse 18. See, on this purchase, it's really important on what he purchased and understand what he is saying. You know, the same thing we'll see, it was in some movie. Can't you understand what's coming out of my mouth? That's what we need to understand. Do we understand what's coming out of the Most High's mouth? See, he says, I am he that liveth and was dead. And behold, I am alive forevermore. Amen. And have the keys of hell and death. He has the keys to hell and death. Meaning a little bit more. So let's look at what he's actually talking about. So we're going to go down to 20 and verse 13. 13, it says, and the sea gave up the dead. So on the purchase, they had to give up the dead, who was dead in Christ, in which were in it. And death and hell was delivered up, the dead which were in them, and they were judged every man according to their works. So you doing the works of the law, you doing the works of faith. You tell me. Can you understand the difference between the two? So we understand the life, and I know people sitting there like, man, I don't get this. Because it's spiritual. And to understand spiritual, you need to understand what spirit is. And this is light. Crystal light. We need to understand what is happening, because he freed us from bondage of the law. But many of us go back and do the letter of the law. Why? Why are we doing this? Can anyone tell me why are we doing it? See, if we're under the bondage and the freedom of God now, why do we go back to confusion? Why are we doing these things? And he told us, in the same as Satan even knows, skin for skin. All that a man have, he would give his own life. He would give to save his own life. See, he brought frogs and lice and flies and darkness, and you name it, he did it. Look at this. Look at that. Oh, let me show you something. I want to show you something to where we having this conversation to understand something. We're going to go to Exodus chapter 12. Let's go down to verse 31. We're going to do 31. It actually might go a little bit further, but we're going to go down to 31. We do want to see 31. And it says, and he called for Moses and Aaron by night and said, rise, get up, and get ye forth from among my people, both ye and the children of God. and go serve the Lord as ye have said. Also take your flocks and your herds, ye have said, and be gone. And bless me. Before you, hold up, before you leave, bless me. Bless me too. So my question to you is this. Have you forgot this purchase on what God did? See, are you doing things because it's saying it in the letter of the law? Are you doing this? See, we want to make sure we're clear on this. See, because the law is clear. And as he said, this is our problem. Because in Deuteronomy 6 and 12, it says, then beware, lest thou forget the Lord. See, many of us forgot. We forgot him, which brought us thee forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. See, many of us forgot this. Many of us has forgotten that he has brought us out from this here. So what happened? Let's look at this on what Yahushua, when he was resting in the man, the prophet, what did he come to do? Let's see what he came to do. Let's go down to Matthew. Let's get this real clear, crystal, and don't forget it. We got to remember something. We're going to go down to verse 45, 13:45. Let's make sure we crystal clear on this. We're going to see something. It says, again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a merchant man seeking goodly pearls. See, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant man seeking goodly pearls. See, pearls is pure white. You catch them, they're pure white. Nothing's wrong about it. They come in different sizes, small, medium, and large. Some extra large. But he says, when this merchant man find these goodly pearls, who when he had found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had and brought it. Have you found that pearl? Have you found that pearl? See, these are the things on which, if you found that pearl and you hold into that pearl, then as he said, when he get down into some of these things on these verses to where we can find what Yahushua himself was talking about, and we're going to look at some of these. In Luke in 19:10, he says this. He says this, for the Son of Man is come to seek and to save that which was lost. He come to seek and to save which was lost. Uncle Idris repeats some of these same words. Uncle Idris says this about that. He says this in 5, and we're going to drop down to verse 23. And I want you to clearly hear what Uncle Idris is saying here. And he says, and said, O Lord that bears rule, who came to seek and to save which was lost. See, he came to seek and to save something. O Lord that bears rule, who has sold all to purchase that one goodly pearl. Of every wood in the earth, and of all the trees there, thou hast chosen thee one only vine. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to, if you had the whole world at your hands, would you sell all that you have to seek and to save that one only vine? See, he goes on more and says, in all the lands of the whole world, thou hast chosen thee one pit, and of all the flowers there, one lily. And of all the depths of the sea, thou hast filled thee one river. So if he's done these things, we have to understand what he has done. And of all the built cities, thou hast hallowed Zion, Zion to thyself. And of all the fowls that are created, thou hast named thee one dove. And of all the cattle that are made, thou hast provided thee one sheep. And among all the multitude of people, thou hast gotten thee one people. Unto this people whom thou lovest, thou givest a law that is approved of all. They give us a law that is approved of all. So what did he's telling you, he made a purchase. He made this purchase, are we agreeing to it? Because the purchase, he did this and he took us out of bondage. And he's telling you right here, I've given you a law that is approved of all. So what's going on with us? Because in Exodus 19, in verse 5, he reiterates this and tells you again. Actually, we'll start at verse 4. It said, ye have seen what I have done unto the Egyptians. We just went through them. We went through them like clockwork. We seen what he did. You seen what he did. If you didn't see it, you read it. And if you believe the Bible, you read it. How I buried you on eagle wings, how he buried our forefathers on eagle wings and brought you unto myself. And he brought us to him through his spirit. Now, therefore, and for that reason alone, if ye obey my voice, I purchased you out of bondage, but I'll be your God and you'll be my people. But you're free to go if you want. If, providing you obey my voice, indeed, in the works of the Spirit, and keep my covenant, ye should be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. So he made this clear. But this law he giveth is approved of all. So we need to find in this contract, this covenant, that it was approved of all. Verse 8 in Exodus, and all the people answered together, and all that the Lord has spoken, we will do. The law that is approved of all of us. So if we want to prepare our bodies for God, we need to ante up, because he made a purchase and he have a right to his goods. So either you need to get to living, or you need to fold this book up and go find you something else to do. Because God is not here, and he's not here to play games with anyone. So we have to understand what he's talking about at all times. I'm going to switch this over, and I'm going to sit there and see. 1 second, I'm going to switch this over to where we can understand a little bit more about God. Because God is not one of confusion at all. But most of us sit there and we believe that we can tell God whatever we want. So hopefully we got some understanding out of here that is what's going on with God, because that purchase was made. If you want to speak, you more than likely, you can click on that right there, and you can actually come in and you can speak right there, because we're very open. So hopefully that you want to come in and you have a question or a comment. Other than that, You know, we have some people who want to come in, and we have some who try to come over and they decide they want to do they let a teacher on for whatever that they believe. But you have a question, comment, you're more than welcome to comment on it. So these are the things that we deal with. These are the things that we have to understand, because he made the purchase. The purchase was made. But most of us don't want to believe on this purchase. We want to purchase it our way. We want to do things our way. This is the problem that we have. So hopefully we can keep it going. And I have a keep it in Israel. I'm gonna need to know exactly who you are, because as I said, if I don't see a name and keep it Israel, and who is this here?
Can you hear me?
You know, cannot hear you, because if not, I'm gonna remove you, because I don't know who you are. So I'm trying to find out. 1 second. Because if I don't know, that's pretty much how I roll. 1 second. And can you go ahead? Just keep it in it. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. I've been in your class. How do I take off the I don't know how to take off my what I have I don't know how to get my face on here.
I know. I'm not talking about the face. I'm talking about the name. Because normally when people come in with these names, that's something I actually don't.
All right. It's been a service.
Yeah. I don't normally go by these names where people like to use these catchphrase names. I just,
it really actually wasn't saying that that's not a name that I use.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, but I've been with you for a long time.
Okay. But when you're coming in the future, please
okay,
just.
As a matter of fact, I'll change it. I'll have it.
Okay, I appreciate it. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's one of the things. We have a lot of people who people like to come in with names and different things. And one of the reasons I do hold you to what your name is, but the simple fact is, most of us, we run what our real names are. But we do have people who want to run under disguises and not actually expose who they are or what they are. She's saying she wasn't doing it in any kind of fictitious way or to be deceiving. That's just something she just used, and she's been in here before. However, we do have people come in here and they want to call themselves, Yahweh this, all this just kind of crazy stuff. Those are things that I do not play with. Because when you come in with a name and nobody knows who you are, but then you want to know who everybody else is. So the simplest thing I do, I just remove you. So that's why I do that. But if anybody else, if you have any questions, comments, anything, you're more than welcome to where you can come in the back. The link is there. And all you do is put your hand up and I will bring you up to where you can actually speak. So that I have no problem with. Yeah, right now we don't have any that's going on right now. So, but with that, what a lot of people like to do is what people really do is sit there and they love to do the works of the law, which is actually breaking the law. And this is one of the problems that we have completely in Israel. Because they're going to do the works of the law. They're going to do it like clockwork. And most of us don't know what the works of the law is. And the works of the law is actually doing the commandments that is laid in the law. And I can actually give you an example of that to what we do. And I'm going to show you an example on what we do. And let me pull this up. Let me pull that up and show you what we're doing. Let me show you what we're doing here. So what I'm saying in this is this. Most of us will go into Leviticus chapter 11 And we should go down, and it says, and whatsoever pertaining to the hoof in his clothing footing and chew the cud, water beasts you shall eat. That's one thing that you do. Nevertheless, thou shalt ye not eat them that chew with the cud, or them that divided the hoof, as the camel, he that cheweth the cud, but divided not the hoof, he is unclean unto you. So even this alone, people is going to follow this according to the letter of the law. What is this actually talking about? Most people don't know. Why? Because they're just going to follow it verbatim because they read it in the book. This is a problem. Meaning what? Most of them don't even know what that means because as it said in here, clearly, if you're doing according to what is in the letter of the book, you're actually working on a curse that you're cursed. So do anybody understand what that meant? But most people I know are not going to say what it meant or what they think it meant. So it's my thing is, if you think you know what it meant, cool. I'm not going to sit there and answer it because most times people ask questions or don't ask questions, and then when they don't know what's going on, it's no reason for anyone to know because everybody knows what's going on. This is another problem we have within Israel. And Sister Watson, go ahead.
How you doing today, Elder Johnson?
I'm doing pretty good.
I don't know what it means because I thought that the Levitical law was just eating clean foods.
Uh-huh.
And if that's breaking the law, then I'm breaking the law because I don't eat unclean foods.
Okay. So what I'm gonna do, 1 second. So what I'm gonna do, I got this. Let me make sure. This is Watson. Let me make sure. Because what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make this real clear. So we got Watson. Yes. WAT. Because what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna have a separate class, which I'm gonna be doing most likely tomorrow afternoon, which I'm gonna actually give you the answer to this exact question. I'm not gonna do it online. I'm gonna do it offline.
Okay.
The reason, and I'm doing this for a particular reason, because we have a lot of pride that's out here, that is out here in Israel, where people will sit there and say that they know what's going on and they know how it actually works. So since they know how it works, there's no reason for me to share it out. That's how I get, because it started playing with my intelligence. And that's something I don't care for. And Sister Forham.
Okay. Hello? Can you hear me, Elder?
Yeah.
No? Okay. Oh, yeah,
Okay.
I don't know what that means either. I choose to not to eat unclean food because of what I learned behind me. I used to eat all that stuff, but, you know, ever since I came into the truth and then the teachings that you put forth and then learning a lot of things the things I used to take, like the chitlins and the catfish and all of that, how they're really just clean. And there was a reason why he told us not to eat that stuff. So learning the things that I have learned, I chose not to eat them because all the years I have eaten them, you know, I've already put all that mess in my body, and I choose to try to get my body purified to where all that unclean stuff have come out of it. You know,
Understood.
so that was my reason for not.
Understood. So I tell you what, I just marked you down, so I'll make sure once I do it. And if I'm off early over here enough, I'm gonna actually just crank another one up.
Okay.
That's what I'm gonna do. And then I just send that to you guys. Because as I said,
Okay.
you know, what we deal with is this. We have a lot of people that look and they depend on, I'm gonna sit back and watch and just check this out and not say anything and just let them blurt it out. And you kind of know me better than anybody, that I will sit there and I won't say a word.
Right.
And I'll sit there and I just share with you in the back and be done. Because this way, what I'm gonna show you here, it's not gonna take 20, 50 hours. It's actually gonna take me less than probably 7 minutes. And just share with you what it is and how it actually works. That's it. So,
Okay.
so I got you down.
Okay.
All right, my sister. Okay. and Elder Smith.
Shalom, Elder.
Shalom, shalom, shalom.
I'm going to say I am confused. I guess I don't know what it means because
Okay.
my thing is I love the Most High. So I
Yeah.
worship him in spirit and in truth. And
Okay.
so I guess following the laws I thought was all part of the spirit and truth.
Yeah. But like how you seen, if you following the law, you see how you under the curse?
Yes.
Yeah, you see, that's where it kind of gets a lot of people and it kind of flips them. So as it flips you, and then what happens, like we have a couple of people on online, and actually as they sit there saying one saying he knows, if you click in here, you can go and come in the back, because if you don't have Zoom, you won't see it. I can tell you that right now. But the main thing is what we want to do is understand how that actually is working. But the thing is, a lot of us, besides us trying to learn together to understand what this Bible is actually saying, most people sit there and say, okay, I got it, I'm good. And my thing is, they see the link, but they refuse to come in the back. So same as I said, I'm gonna hold it till on this side. So I'm really not gonna answer any questions that's on that side, because they have the link to where they can come over here. If you choose not to come over here, that's on them.
It is. And you know, Elder, the Most High says, if you love him, keep thy commandments. So
Yep. And we need to
that's
know
what I'm
exactly
going
what
by.
he's saying. We need to know exactly what he's saying.
Yeah,
Yes.
because I had my hand up too, but that was the same issue too. I thought I knew. So I'm gonna put my
Yeah.
hand down because I'm in the same situation. I thought I knew, but I don't, Elder.
So we're gonna bring, a lot of people, in the way it's going. I probably do this right behind this. And we'll see how this go. And Sister Carla,
Yes, Elder.
yes, how you doing?
Yes, how you doing? I'm
All right.
coming just to ask the same thing to say, just like the rest of the
Yeah.
brothers and sisters, I don't know what it means.
Yeah. So
I believe that, what I learned, what God's truth is, and hear his voice, I try to be obedient. I don't know exactly what it means to be.
I'll tell you what, I think I have something here, and I think this is on here where I can do it, and I think I can do it. So what I am going to do, I see where it could stop the stream from YouTube. So what I'm gonna do, I got some people back here with their hands up. So I'm gonna take it as bond there. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give people probably another 6-7 minutes. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna turn that stream off from YouTube. And then what I'm gonna do is just deal with the people who's back here, and we're gonna go through it.
Okay.
That's what
Okay.
I'm gonna do.
Yes,
So,
sir.
yeah, so that's
Yes.
be a simple way to do it. Because I see back here, I believe this, by the way this is working, it will literally turn that off from the stream side. So if it turns it off from the stream side, we're good. And then I can flip it off the stream side.
Okay.
And see, and
Yes,
I'm gonna
Elder.
put this in here. I'm gonna put this in here again. And I don't know how they're not seeing it. That link is there. So we'll see what's going on. And then also we do want to understand what a lot of people let me see yeah. So we're good. And the biggest thing is, as what a lot of people putting in here, I'm totally confused. Oh, I get it. Because I'm gonna tell you the biggest thing is why I say Paul can be extremely confusing, but once you understand Paul, he's extremely clear all the time. He's right up front. And I'm gonna keep this open for another minute or so, because then I'm gonna go off and I'm gonna come back, because I'm gonna turn this off. And if it turns off, because I can see right now, YouTube right now, I'm looking right at it. So once I stop the the YouTube, it should just click right over to Zoom, and Zoom will just stay live. So I'll be good. And
So do
then
you want us to just
no, you just
stay
stay
back here?
just stay back here. Oh, because once I turn it off, it'll turn off over here, but you'll be back here. That's what's going to
Okay.
happen. That's what's actually going to happen. Because we have a lot of people that's coming in, and we have and I'm just trying to make sure right now, you know, because it's the same example as you see people who will, as you see a lot of these Israelite camps, and they'll call themselves Israelite camps, where they'll say they doing these things. You know, we going into the wilderness on these feast days. We going into the wilderness on these, you know, holy days. We doing this, and this is what we doing. We making sure we doing this time, this way. Now, exactly what they doing. They doing things that God hates.
Mm.
It's that plain and simple. God said, don't eat this and don't eat that. You can read it in the law. You're doing things against God. So we need to understand that. Yeah. So we need to understand
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right now, while we're waiting for a couple of other people to do this, and then we actually going to cut off, because what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give them to 6:25. Right now, 6:21. I'm gonna go to 6:25, and then I'm gonna turn off over here, and I'm just gonna be on back here. So what I want to do is look at what's going on, and I'm trying to go through. I'm trying to make sure that there's some people back here I don't know, and I'm bringing them up because I need to find out who they are. I have a ZWES7. Right now, 6:21. I'm going to 6:25, and then I'm gonna turn off. Hello, yeah,
Hello?
ZW. Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, yes, hello. I'm trying to go through. Hello.
Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
This is Nisi.
Okay. Yeah, because your phone is saying something else.
My phone, I'll turn my phone off.
No. Your phone is showing another name. I have a ZWES7. Yeah. Actually, I'm getting your feedback. Hello? Yeah, ZW.
Yes, hello?
Yeah, we getting feedback. Yeah, we getting feedback. She actually playing it kind of loud the way it feeds it back. We have that one. And we have Saint German. And this is a new one. So we're getting ready to go to the back. So right now we have we're destroying our physical body, is destroying your spirit, you in spirit. Eating also, no, don't have, in the word of Yah, you completely lost. Because you're saying eating unclean food, destroying, not only destroying physical body, it's destroying your spirit. How can physical food destroy your spirit? So again, that's what I'm talking about. This is where people try to come in and literally try to teach and have no idea on what's going on. So this is why we say that, because this is not nowhere close to truth. So I'm gonna remove that. So the same thing is we got 1 minute, and then we're gonna be moving over. So I want to thank everybody for joining us for today. So tomorrow we will have our normal teaching, which will be going on at 8 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time over here at KJBU, and it will also be over at it'll be on YouTube and also over at KJBU. So I want to appreciate everyone who joined us today, and I'm getting ready to switch this over to where we're going to be going strictly over to the over into Zoom, which we're going to have